Hey, all you awesome people out there. Thank you so much for joining me in my first YouTube adventure. There's some crazy times right now, and a lot of things are uncertain, but one thing that is certain is I know you have a lot of these hanging around your house, so I'm going to show you how we can use these as tools to create some super fun, super easy pieces of art. So for this project today, you're going to need a few pieces of paper, some crayons, some scissors, some tape, your lovely smattering of toilet paper tubes and paper towel tubes, and some paint of your choice. Now, one of my favorite ways to create art is by stamping, by printing using paint or ink. So I'm going to show you how to create a heart stamp with one of these paper towel tubes. You start by pushing in one area and then kind of pinching a little point there at the end and pinching a point at the bottom. And don't worry about if it's not perfect. We really just need one side, not both sides. And once you get the heart shape that you like, just kind of fiddle with it a little bit. Then we want our piece of tape. We're going to take our tape and we're going to tape the sides just up at the top so that it holds that beautiful heart there. Then I can take some paint, and you can use any color paint that you like, and you can dip it, and then you can stamp it. All right, the trick here is to get it as even as possible. I want to dip it into my paint and I want to press it onto my paper. Dip and press and dip and press. Moving back and forth, different directions, just making it a little bit more interesting. And speaking of interesting, you can either let it dry like this and then color it in with your crayons or even paint it in with your paint, or you can start by coloring your background all different colors and then stamping the hearts on top. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just some simple, beautiful heart prints there. So the next idea I want to give you is creating flower prints. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of one of these paper towel tubes. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to snip, 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 snip all the way around. I want to make sure the cuts are pretty much even because I'm going to bend them back. Again, making sure they're mostly even and level with each other. Now I'm going to take my paint, which is spread out here on my plate. I'm going to take my beautiful flower here. I'm going to dip it. Make sure I get all those petals in the paint as much as possible. Oh, and you're going to double check and see if you have some cardboard pieces showing. That means you did not get enough paint in there. You just want to smash it in there just a little bit more. There we go. That's a little bit better. Move my plate out of the way. Pick the best spot for my garden to grow. And I stamp it. Now, just like when you set it in the paint, you're going to want to kind of push it down a little bit just to make sure that that paint gets on the paper. Voila. I can take my stamp again. I can make another one. Let's see, grow one right here. Again, pushing down on my petals. And I can add even more flowers to my garden if I like. This time I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start just like I did before, even snips all the way around. But this time, when I bend them back, I'm gonna cut it and shape my petals just a little bit more. Make sure it's nice and even, nice and flat, the best you can do. Now I can take my scissors and I can round out my petals and just make them a little bit more interesting. There. Now my petals ended up being a little bit more pointy than rounded, and that's fine. But I can take it, this time with a different color of paint that I've spread out. I can dip it again, making sure that I've got paint on each one of those petals. Maybe get a little swirly swirl. Very nice. And I can stamp it. Pushing down, making sure we got it on the paper. Ooh, very nice. I think I'm gonna make one more. Another little dip in the paint. And another stamp right here. Now, once you have painted your garden, you can take your crayons and you can add some interesting details. You can add the centerpieces, you can add the stems and the leaves and of course the background. We've got suns and skies and clouds. You can really just create an entire beautiful masterpiece out of these little stamps here. Voila! Last but not least, you can just make some simple circle stamps with the end of your toilet paper tube. You can just dip it in your paint that you have spread out on your plate, stamp it on your paper. What a gorgeous circle there. And keep stamping. Cover your paper with stamps, with circles, essentially creating some lines in which you will be able to color later. I'm going to try to fill up this entire paper, and you can see I'm overlapping some of these circles. That's because it makes it, move it over here, it makes it a little bit more interesting when you add some overlap. I'm going to come back later once this is all dry, and I'm going to color it in, and the areas that I have overlapped, just add for more areas of color. So here is my paper completely covered in circle prints and completely dry as well. I am ready to color it in. I can use crayons, I could use markers, pens, colored pencils. I can use anything to color in these lines here. This is a great activity to do if you happen to have some time on your hands. But also, if you don't have paint, you can trace around the circle end of a tube, or really anything that makes a circle, a jar, a lid, anything around your house. You can trace circles and make them overlap each other so that you get these really interesting spaces here. Now, excuse me while I go color. And there you have it. A few easy at-home crafts for those toilet paper rolls you might have laying around. I hope you guys give it a try. I hope you like it, and I hope you guys leave me a comment. Stay tuned for the next video.